Bayani Warrior Podcast, Episode 4, Tattoos as a Form of Healing with Trent Wyczawski. All right, everybody, and welcome to Episode 4 of the Bayani Warrior Podcast. I am your host, Guru Mike Panna, Chief Instructor and Founder of the Bayani Warrior Martial Arts Academy, located right here in the sunny Dallas, Texas area. Today's episode, I'll be interviewing my buddy Trent Wyczawski from Baltimore, Maryland. Trent is an awesome guy. We actually got to meet about 2 or 3 years ago at a Atienza Kali called the Mountain Sama Sama. Trent trains with a very dear friend of mine in the Sayak and Atienza tribe, Guru Joy Marana out of Baltimore, Maryland. And Trent and I have gotten to know each other over the last few years. Trent is actually a tattoo artist by trade. But what makes Trent unique in his skill set is that he uses tattoo art to bring healing and comfort to breast cancer patients from all over the world. He does this by using his tattooing skills to tattoo realistic and accurate tattoos of areolas for the patients that he serves. I felt Trent was a natural choice for this podcast because I firmly believe that his profession is very much in line with what we in Bayani Warrior are all about. He uses skills to serve, heal, and protect the hearts and minds of the patients that he works with. So without further ado, here's my interview with my buddy, Trent Wyczawski. All right, Trent, thanks for joining me on the show, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, man. So just give a little bit about your background. I kind of explained it during the intro portion of the show, but if you wouldn't mind just explaining kind of a little bit about your background, how you got into tattoo art, and what drove you to do what you're currently doing.
So I've been tattooing now for just over 14 years. I'd always wanted to be a tattooer ever since I was a kid, basically, which is unusual. And it took me quite a while to get involved. So I started tattooing when I was 25. I'm self-taught, but that doesn't mean that you don't learn a lot from people along the way. I was definitely very driven to make artwork, I guess, originally. But after a while, the guy I work with now, Vinnie Myers, he started tattooing breast cancer survivors. So he kind of happened into it through Johns Hopkins. And as things progressed, he needed more people to kind of come on. So I was one of the first people he asked to kind of come in and learn the system and really take this up as a full-time job.
All right, so you've been doing this since you were 25. Was there anything in your background, was there a point when you were a kid where you were like, I really want to get into that? Or was there any kind of that aha moment that kind of inspired you to pursue tattooing?
I can't remember an exact point in time, I guess. I'd always been interested in counterculture art. And back then, when I was 25, actually when I was 14 was when I first took interest in it, tattoos weren't as popular as they are now. It was definitely kind of it was a subculture. It was something that wasn't looked at fondly by the public, and I kind of liked that. I thought it had its own magic. I feel like it's lost a lot of that magic with the television exposure now, but I feel like I've gotten some of that back applying my craft to this new medical stuff.
I was curious, what type of training did you have to go through in order to attain the skills you had? You said you were somewhat self-taught, but the quality of your work is really good. I'm very curious as to what your training entailed.
So I've been an artist my whole life, and I'm very good at appropriating different styles of artwork. I could pretty much draw almost anything if I really put myself to it. So tattoo art was something that I was interested in, and early on I think I just tried to learn the language and draw as many things as I possibly could related to it. So I think art plays a big role in modern tattooing. I don't feel that you would do very well or make it very far if you couldn't already draw or had an illustration background. So mainly what I had to learn was the technical portion. I had to learn how to operate a tattoo machine, how the whole thing worked. There's a lot of nuances to that. And then you have to learn how it all kind of works in the skin. there are a ton of different skin types. I mean, I'm still finding new ones. There's still new ones coming about, and I've tattooed thousands and thousands of people. So you never stop learning this craft, I guess. But really, it's just I spent a lot of time tattooing people.
Right. No, I'm really interested, and I'm sure our audience here is interested, in hearing how you went from being a tattoo artist to now a tattoo artist who now serves breast cancer patients. It's a very unique line of work that you're in. So I'm very curious as to how you went from, tattooing to now tattooing with a higher purpose. How did you get into that?
Okay, so I was working for Vinnie Myers at our street shop here in Baltimore, and I had kind of worked my way up to the first chair. So I was kind of like the guy working, doing the most stuff there, or the kind of the head guy. And as Vinny was getting busier with his breast cancer tattooing that he kind of fell into, he needed to bring somebody on. So I had spoken with him quite a few times as he would come back from trips about what he was doing, some of the theories, some of the stuff that he was learning from these doctors. And my interest was really piqued, and it was something that I definitely felt still had some magic, and it was cool to hear that we could use our abilities or our craft to provide something for people that meant a lot more. I kind of view these tattoos as it's restorative. It's not necessarily decorative. Mm-hmm. And body decoration is kind of what tattooing has been, at least in the modern times. A lot of the older tattooing served a lot of different purposes, but in modern times it's basically body decoration. And what I've found by tattooing these women is that it means so much more than that. So as I kind of made my way into it, it became a full-time transition, and now I travel the country basically doing this.
In your experience, what have been your experiences regarding the transformation or the restoration of some of the patients that you've worked with, or some of the individuals that you've worked with using your art?
It's been unbelievable, and it's been shocking too. Women will go through the entire reconstruction process, and it can be very difficult for them. It begins with somebody telling you that you have cancer, usually, or that you are predisposed for cancer, and then it's like a whirlwind or a tornado comes through your life, and they go and see a plastic surgeon towards the end there, and they kind of reconstruct them, but they don't feel whole again until they get the tattoos. And it's been amazing for me to see that. We were just in Boston 2 weeks ago, and you meet so many amazing people that would never make their way into a tattoo shop, and to hear their stories is incredible. Some of them are sad, some of them are happy, some of them are a mixed bag, but everyone's story is different.
No, absolutely. And, the way I met you, and I'm pretty sure my listeners know this already from before, but, I met you through the Atienza Kali tribe. I met you. I know you're a student of Guru Joy Marana over in Baltimore. Has your martial arts training in the Filipino martial arts, has it really benefited your tattoo art? Has it enabled you to see things in a different light?
That's an interesting question. I would say my Filipino martial arts training has definitely given me a higher dedication level, and I think that definitely has, made its way into my career. I like that there is such an aspect of family with the Filipino martial arts, and I feel that too with these patients. They are definitely looking for a deeper connection with us, as we're kind of helping them through the process. And I hear from people, weeks, months, and even years later about their tattoos and about what it's helped them do. And I definitely feel like the family aspect and the personable closeness and friendship aspect, it plays a role.
Oh, absolutely. And, it's interesting because I don't know if we discussed this, but, the history of tattooing actually has its roots in Filipino tribal culture as well as cultures all over the world. And so I find it very fascinating that, you're using this art. You're a Filipino martial arts practitioner. You have a very unique craft, and you're applying that unique craft to serving tribes all over the country. So talk to me about your traveling. I know that you travel all over the country. Can you go a little bit deeper into how far spread and widespread this practice is? Because I know that you, again, were recently here in Texas. You come here a few times a year. You mentioned you were in Boston. How far does this practice go? Is this nationwide, or is this, even international?
We have a lot of people internationally that come visit us at our shop here in Maryland. But about 3 years ago, we started doing the traveling, maybe 2.5 years ago. And we've got two groups of people. So Paul Bissett and myself, we travel to Dallas area. We travel to Boston. We're trying to set up Denver right now because there's a big need for it out there. I just recently got a call from someone in Miami, a plastic surgeon in Miami. So we got a couple other irons in the fire. Vinnie and his daughter Anna, they travel to New Orleans, San Diego, Hoboken, New Jersey, and we're also kind of tag teaming the Birmingham practice right now. So we just did our first trip there, and depending on who's available, one of the teams will go there as well.
Excellent. So what would someone have to do? Let's say, there's a tattoo artist listening to this that wants to utilize their art form, that is tattooing, for a higher purpose like you are. How would they get involved getting in your line of work?
Now, that's a really difficult question. We used to do really difficult tattoos on perfect skin. And I equate that with, picture tattoos and, what most people think of traditional modern tattooing. Now I do somewhat simpler tattoos on really difficult skin. So depending on the reconstructive process that each individual person has gone through, it can be somewhat of a nightmare to tattoo, and sometimes the result that they're looking for isn't going to be achievable because of the path that they've been on, or because of what they've had to undergo. So I would say that if someone wanted to do this, they should have at least a decade of experience tattooing in a busy street shop, so they have a good education on skin. Mm-hmm. But also, I would caution them that if they want to do something like this, it will take over your life. It's really difficult to do both picture tattooing and the medical tattooing because there is a demand for it, and when the word gets out, it may take over your book of business. And I know a lot of tattooers that the reason they got into tattooing was to make art. And after working for 10 years, most people have developed a book of business, and they're starting to do a lot of custom stuff and a lot of stuff that they've been dreaming about their whole career. So it's tough to give that up, to dedicate yourself to something like this. Now, I get a lot out of it. I really enjoy it. I really, really love what I do. But I would caution artists that that's something that they might undergo, that's something they might have to come to terms with and make the decision on. It's also very difficult to get in with plastic surgery practices and find people who are willing to let you kind of, do your first tattoos on them. While there are tons of qualified tattooers out there, a lot of these women that I tattoo, they don't have tattoos. So they feel a little more apprehensive about going to, a local shop searching for tattooing. So it's a difficult road, but, if somebody's really, really wants to do it and they're really dedicated to it, I think they could achieve it,
No, absolutely. And again, like what you guys do is so amazing and so, unique. I really hope that there's more individuals who pursue what you're doing, because I think it's definitely making a difference. And so another question I would have, and this is something that was on my mind as we were setting this interview up, is there any stories that stick out in your mind, maybe a moment or maybe a particular client through your practice that really sticks out, something that you wouldn't mind sharing with us? Because I'm sure the audience would love to hear a personal story or testimonial from that.
Well, let me think. There's so many.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the ones that really stick out the most to me are when you tattoo young women
Mm-hmm.
who may have young children, and not everyone makes it through this with a happy ending.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I've tattooed plenty of women who are they're not going to win their battle with cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes it a very, very difficult job. It's a very emotional job.
Mm-hmm.
And I could think of one woman in particular who I tattooed who came up from the Virginia, D.C. area. And she was very sweet, and she wasn't overjoyed to get the tattoos,
Mm-hmm.
but she wanted to do it, and she had young children. And I guess the story would be more about me and how I felt, but it was a very difficult day
Mm-hmm.
sitting with her and talking with her about, what she expected the rest of her life to be, and, what she wanted for her children growing up. And, beautiful young woman, like early 30s,
Mm-hmm.
stage 4, living with cancer. It can be incredibly difficult,
Mm-hmm.
Now, to juxtapose that, there are plenty of women who, they've beaten cancer, and it's a party, and they love it. They come in, they bring friends, we celebrate. It's a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But there are definitely, we see everybody, so it can be emotionally tough.
I'm sure that this has been a very, as you said, it can be a very emotional process, but at the same time, it can be a very rewarding process. What are some of the life lessons that you've taken from your work that have aided you, not just, of course, in your tattoo practice, but also as a father? I know you're a dad. I know you're a husband. How has that helped you out in the other aspects of your life?
I think the number one thing would be patience. A lot of people that I see or that I tattoo, they're very nervous. They've never been to a tattoo shop before. They don't know what to expect. And they may be really apprehensive to come see me. So you have to be patient and kind of like look at every person as if they were your mother or your wife or your sister, and kind of take a personal ownership over that person that is sitting with you, and take care of their needs and their feelings and emotions throughout the process, so that you can get them the best result, but at the same time, help them heal. It's got to be incredibly difficult to sit in my chair, and face all of that stuff at the very end of your journey, looking for closure, looking to kind of put the bags down and get on with your life. The other things that I've probably learned, I would say, are that life is not a guaranteed thing. Like life can be short and sweet. Life can be difficult. You don't know what you're going to wake up to, and I think it's given me a deeper appreciation for my life and being involved in the lives of my family and friends.
Right. And I think that's an interesting thing, we talk about in our training, like, especially in blade arts, like in Atienza Kali and Sayok, talking about, life and death and seeing things in that perspective. And I think what you just said really touches upon that. It's this idea that, we're all on a time clock, right? We're all in a countdown. And we have to cherish the time that we have here. So that's great. So, we're winding down on time. I know you got to get back to work. But I just wanted to ask you, I usually end my podcast with this question. In your opinion, what does it mean to be a hero?
That's a tough question. I would say there's multiple aspects to being a hero. I would say being able to instill hope is probably it's a good quality of a hero. I think getting up and doing what you do every day without pause, like, doing it anyway. If you wake up and it's a tough day, the world doesn't care. You got to do it anyway. I think that's a quality of a hero. I think doing the things that are hard without looking for acknowledgement at every turn. I think that's a good quality of a hero.
Well, that's awesome, man. And again, thank you for everything that you do. Is there any way that my listeners can learn more about your work or possibly get in touch with you?
Sure. I have a personal website. It's TrentWyczawski.com. I'll spell the last name. It's WYCZAWSKI. And there's also the Vinnie Myers Team.com. I think it's just Vinnie Myers Team.com. And that's the group I work with. We've got a ton of information on there for anyone who's looking for info about what we do and the process, and just a bit of an education about everything that goes into what we do. And they can always call the shop. It's 410-876-4638, and we're in Baltimore area, Maryland.
All right, man. Thank you so much for your time, man. This has been awesome. And again, please stay in touch with me. Next time you're in Dallas, definitely let me know, brother.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Take care.
Thank you, brother. All right, guys, I really hope you enjoyed my interview with Trent Wyczawski of Baltimore, Maryland. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Please feel free to leave us a review on iTunes. It helps our visibility and definitely gets the Bayani Warrior message out there. So till next time, guys, be the hero in your life.